Welcome everyone. I'm so happy to have you here. Tonight we're doing something really fun. We are busting coaching myths. So this is really for anyone. It could be a certified life coach. This could be that you're a friend or a family member. Maybe you're someone who gets the 8 a.m. Can I talk to you phone call or text? Or you're a parent trying to guide your child without turning into a motivational speaker. This is me. I have to find that place of, okay, do not sound like you're coaching right now. So if you're one of these people or you find yourself being a designated listener, then this is for you. If there's one thing that we've learned at Evolve Masterclass, it's that coaching is not just for the professionals. It's a way of seeing people and seeing their potential paths, even when they differ from ours, and standing with them as they become who they were meant to be. And I think a lot of people who are in the coaching role or trying to be coaches for friends and family get into this sticky place where they think they're doing it wrong. And they think they need many more credentials or a lot more confidence or the script. They need a perfect script, the right moment. And all the sticky thinking can really put the block up for being this amazing coach that's already inside of you. Raise your hand. Who am I to help someone else? So tonight we're going to challenge that thinking a little bit. And in our experience, working with clients, leading groups, raising families, showing up in chaotic, beautiful, ordinary lives, those doubts don't go away with only one or two or five more trainings. So we're going to validate you a little bit, okay? But they do quiet down a little when you start seeing them for what they are. I know some of you think I'm going to say protector parts, and that's true too, but we're going to call them myths tonight. Because each of us at some point has believed them. Each of us has let these myths slow us down. And each of us has learned that the freedom we're looking for in coaching comes when we move away from that performative coaching place and move closer to connecting. Right? I don't mean ChatGPT connecting. I know a lot of us are on that bandwagon. I'm talking about the human to human connecting. And later tonight, we'll share something that a coaching trainee told us recently, something that stopped me in my tracks. But first, we're going to walk through the 5 myths that keep even the most devoted, compassionate, well-intentioned coaches and helpers from fully stepping into the gift that I believe we all have. So we're going to pull them apart one by one, and we're going to see what opens up. Are we ready? Myth number 1, and if you don't want to take notes, I promise I will send you full class notes with all of these myths and maybe even some fun tool sheets or worksheets. We'll see what I get inspired to do later. But myth number 1 is I need to have myself all figured out before I can coach someone else. Anyone? I need to have myself all figured out before I can coach someone else. This is one of the biggest lies that people believe, and it sounds very reasonable, so we can get stuck here. It can sound like once I have more of my own life experiences, that I can coach someone else, or once I work through all my stuff, or once I feel fully confident and reach the top of the mountain of my life, then I can coach someone else. It's just false, right? It's a myth. The truth is, if we are waiting until we have got our own lives fully together, We're gonna be waiting for the longest time. Okay. No one wakes up suddenly feeling like a flawless human. And I'm just checking. Any self-proclaimed gurus here? Anyone? Not me. I'm certainly not. Okay. Look, earlier today, I said yes to my son when he requested hiking boots that we both know he's never going to wear. Okay. My boundaries are not perfect. He's just so dang adorable. Mama, I'm going to sign up for the hiking club this year. Okay. Not flawless, guys. All right. The point is, the guru moment doesn't exist, but we do gain so much wisdom over time. And what's really important is that people don't follow someone who's seemingly perfect. I don't go near people anymore who pretend to be. I have had the opportunity to witness their behind the scenes, and I can assure you they're just as human as the rest of us. So, who do people follow? Think about who you follow. People who are authentic about their own journey. Maybe someone who's committed to continue to walk their path no matter how many times they fall or fall down and spill their coffee 3 times today. Thank you very much. Anyone else? So let's be clear. We don't need to be the most healed person in the room to be an amazing coach for another person. We just have to be willing to ask questions, listen, and shine a light. And of course, to keep going when it's uncomfortable. Okay. I really think about coaching as leadership. And leadership is not about knowing everything. It's about being responsible for your impact. It's about showing up when it counts. There are people out there right now looking for someone who's honest, grounded, curious, calm, present. Did I say perfect in there anywhere? Did anyone hear that word come out of my mouth? No. Present. We can go with some P's, okay? If you playful, passionate, purposeful, but real. All right? We're looking for real. So if you're stuck waiting to feel qualified in your own life, in your own living, I want you to think that could mean you're making the work about you. Maybe I'll say that again. If you're stuck waiting to feel qualified in your own life, you're making the work about you. We're going to talk more about that soon. But that hesitation, I'd like to think about it as our comfort zone that's trying to stay in control. We talk about that survival brain in our membership program all the time, right? Our survival brain, it always wants to choose the safest option. The opposite is true, though, if we want to expand. If we want to feel less anxiety and less fear, we actually then need to avoid trying to feel safe. I know. So if we want to feel less anxiety and less fear, we're gonna need to avoid trying to feel safe, avoid trying to protect ourselves so much, so hard. We want to step forward anyway. And if you are that person that likes to attempt this flawlessness protective, right, armor, then there may be this image of yourself you've been holding on to or trying to protect. And we can coach that and look at it from that curious standpoint. But what happens when we wear this armor is all we're really doing is blocking connection, right? It's the thing that kind of prevents us from being seen. Full disclosure, there were thousands, maybe a million, millions of moments where I was struggling behind the scenes with big things or little things, but I was still able to show up and be a light for another. And I want to be clear, I wasn't lying about anything or hiding anything. There are things I certainly didn't openly share because the session's not about me. But sometimes those things even came out and turned out to be inspiration for the person in front of me. Okay. So the idea is that we don't need less life challenges to lead another person through their own. If I could bold that, we don't need less life challenges to lead another person through their own. We might need a better relationship with those challenges, a different lens to see our troubles through. We can, instead of saying, this is a problem for me, we can say, this is an opportunity for me. So then I lead you or end with this question for you. What if the part of your story you've been hiding is the reason someone would actually connect and trust you? What if the part of your story you've been hiding is the reason someone else would actually trust you and feel safe with you and connect with you more? So if you've been holding back, telling yourself you need to be more life prepared, more healed, we're inviting you with this myth to look at what that belief is costing you. The impact you could already be making, the people you could already be contributing to. Coaching does not begin when we feel like a guru. It begins when we're willing to show up and be a contribution to someone else. And that willingness is so much more valuable than any medal for living life. All right. All right. So that was myth number one. We're already moving on to number two. We ready? Myth number two. Great coaching is about having the right tools and scripts. Great coaching is about having the right tools and scripts. I feel like I need a buzzer, like, eh. The myth of the magic worksheet. And you guys know I love worksheets. And I feel like I have to just pause and be honest here because the Evolve Method Handbook we're going to use for the advanced life coaching course, it is really solid, okay? Really good. Honestly, if a guy living on the street, if we pulled him in and handed him the book, providing there's reading ability and all that, he could probably walk into a session and sound like a decent coach. But that doesn't make this myth any less true. Okay. Great coaching isn't built on just tools. It's built on trust. It's built on energy. Talk about that in a moment. So we can't just expect to deliver this perfect sequence of questions and voila, we're there. We are going to be present instead, and we're going to see where the session takes us. Because I can have a script, but I could be taken in a totally different direction by my client. So instead, I want to commit to showing up and being present and see what's real that's going to appear in the room. Tools are very helpful. They give structure. They keep us focused, but they don't build connection the way that we do. I'm sure someone could argue that a worksheet could change someone's life or that a script could help someone feel safe. Of course, I used to start with, I'm the weird doctor, and I would just put people at ease. I would set them up and let them know, hey, I'm strange. You can tell me anything. And that could work for a lot of people. But that's not going to keep the momentum. Okay. You're what's going to build the staying power in your coaching. And it's coming from how you show up, your energy, right? Not just what you say. Because we've all heard coaches who sound really polished. Like they seemingly say all the right things. But have you ever noticed how they sometimes miss what's happening in the session? Have you guys ever had a coaching session yourselves where you're like, I don't think they're hearing me here? Yeah. I've seen great coaches do this, by the way. I did this early on. And it's not that they don't care. Of course we care. But they're so focused on doing it right instead of actually paying attention. And so we lose the client. But when we're really tapped in with our client, like the toolbox can sit totally unopened because all this amazing stuff happens. We can actually channel some incredible wisdom. We're going to talk more about channeling in the advanced life coaching course, but my favorite is when a coach says, Doc, I don't know where that inspiration just came from. I opened my mouth and this great idea came out, right? With their client. Yeah, use the tools. Stick to your framework if it helps, but don't leave out your amazing energy and presence. Because when that person is across from you and they're sharing something raw and vulnerable, they need more than the tools in the script. They need to know that you're actually with them. Okay. So I have this client that keeps coming to mind as I'm talking about this, and it was, oh, they so much shame. I could just describe it as there was a time in their life where they behaved in a way that they would never behave as this mature version of themselves, but there was so much shame from the past. And there weren't words. It was just a matter of sitting with that person as they were sitting with their shame and trying to work through it. And I just kept saying, I see you, right? I still see you. And I still see your light. This doesn't dim you at all. It's something you did, it's not who you are. And I was really I just sat and held space and I sat and allowed them to move through it. And it was an energy, and the energy was non-judgment. And so that's what I mean is sometimes the tool is your beingness. And so that's an important one. I really think people respond so much more to what we bring energetically to a session rather than what we know. So I know a lot of us think coaching is very transactional, or even like with your partner or your friends or your family, that, okay, you're going to offer them advice now and maybe they'll do it later or they'll cook you dinner. But what if we're invited to see this differently? And instead of this transaction, it's relational. It's the energy that we're bringing into the room, and that matters more than any script or transaction. And here's another way to think about it. If someone's sitting across from us, they're not necessarily just taking in our words. Some people don't even hear us. It's one ear and out the other, but they're reading our nervous system. And if you're grounded and clear with them, that alone can shift something for them. Building that trust we were talking about earlier. Back in residency, I was barely sleeping. Okay, I had a newborn at home. I didn't have any fancy tools. I was just starting my life coaching journey. I didn't have any hours of preparation. I had my breath. I had learned in my yoga teacher training about breathing and some meditation, and that's all I had. I did, however, have a lot of anxious patients. So I sat with them and I breathed with them. I shared the little I knew about meditation, but mostly I surrendered with them. And true story, these patients got discharged sooner than the other ones who were not under me. And the attending started calling me the weird doctor. This is where I got my trade name. The attending started requesting me because they knew they would get out earlier from their shifts. And I think what's important is I didn't have everything, right? I didn't have a huge toolbox back then, but I had myself. And I was very open and I was calm and I shared what I knew. And that's what helped. I think if tools were the secret to transformation, we'd all be doing just fine. How many of us have like a downloaded worksheet somewhere that just sits in our inbox while our life falls apart? So it's so much more than the tool, it's the function behind the tool. All right, so those are two myths. With me so far, are we ready for number three? Okay. Oh, this is a good one. If I were a better coach, none of my clients would struggle. If I were a better coach, my clients would not struggle. If I was like superwoman coach, my clients would be great. None of them would be suffering or struggling. So this is like the myth of the savior coach. Okay. And it really sneaks under the radar, I'm going to be honest, because a lot of us like don't talk about this out loud to each other because we feel like there's something to be embarrassed about or ashamed about because we have this myth in our minds. And we question ourselves after these tough sessions, or we carry this like weight of someone else's process because we're so attached to this outcome of our clients. And I'm going to tell you something that someone told me once that I really didn't so much. And that is that it's not your job to rescue anyone as a coach, as a person, as a friend, as a parent. Doesn't that hurt a little bit? A little bit. Yeah, but it's an important one. Our job is to stay steady while the person in front of us navigates their own stretch. We know that the struggle doesn't mean that they're failing in their life. In fact, I would even argue that a struggle means that the coaching is working. I think growth is uncomfortable. Think about the butterfly, right? Trying to make its way out of the cocoon. It's pushing its little butterfly wings against the walls to build its wing strength so it can eventually fly. So our clients' discomfort or family members' discomfort, it's part of the change process. It's not a sign that we're doing anything wrong. This myth can feel really dangerous for those of us who care deeply because we start believing that if someone else is still in pain, that we must have missed something, right? Or we did something wrong. And from there, it's a very short trip to over-functioning as a coach, where we start over-helping and overstepping and overextending, and suddenly our coaching hour goes to 2 hours, and we're trying to carry someone else instead of coach them. That's more like attachment. And it doesn't serve them or us. I think of it like if you were to give a 21-year-old $40 for their birthday in an envelope, and you're like, go have fun, honey. And you're like, oh, they're going to go to the Olive Garden tonight or Red Lobster. They're going to have such a great meal on me. But they tell you that they spent it on booze, right? Beer and wine instead of the Olive Garden. And now you're mad. You're so mad. On coaching, we say if you have an emotion to their result or an upset or angry, you are attached. You never really gave it away. So this myth reminds us that we're not responsible for people's outcomes. We are responsible for how we show up while those beautiful beings work through it. So we're not going to push them through their process, but we are going to hold the ground while they move through it in their own way, at their own pace. We could certainly create a nudge here and there, but no forcing, right? And I want to let you know that this happens. I have a client that I would say I gave the very best to him. I don't think I could have done better coaching, given better inspirational stories or parables. I had great questions, the polished worksheets. I think I was channeling. It didn't matter. None of it landed. He was like an unripe walnut, right? Not easily cracked, not ready. And if we take it personally, or we're thinking we did something wrong, we're stuck in that myth. We want to remember that sometimes people have to hear something 100 different ways from 100 different people before one version finally gets through. And that sometimes they really do have to struggle a little longer until they're willing to try something new. So we want to make sure as a coach that this doesn't mess with our heads, that we're not in that, oh, if I were better, if I were better, they'd be moving forward. It's a myth. Readiness is not something that any of us can force. We are not controlling another human being's timing. In fact, one of my best classes in the membership that I've been told is the one on divine timing. I think it's in the Evolve Vault. Everyone has their own divine timing. We can hold the space. We can offer the mirror for these clients or our children. We can stay consistent. But the muscle to build is the muscle of trust that other people aren't going to move until they're ready. So if your client or family or friend is struggling, slow down, get curious, support the stretch. I feel like I'm in a yoga class instead of trying to push them to injury, okay? That's my yoga teacher in me. Struggle's not the enemy, okay? It's just that it's the evidence that they're in the game, right? They're in the class, they're on the yoga mat. No struggle often means no movement. And I know we all want to be helicopter moms to our clients out of our own discomfort, but we're going to open to the possibility that their breakdown might be their breakthrough. Okay. And in fact, reflect right now. When did you grow the most? Was it when things were really easy? Or was it during a stretch? Yeah. Clients, friends, family, loved ones, no different. Okay. I think we're ready for number 4. Yep, number 4. You ready? This one hurts a little too. Holding space is enough. The myth is that, I know, I don't like it, but it's true. Holding space is enough. Okay, this is the myth of passive presence, if you will. And I love the idea of holding space. It's one of the things that I have mastered in this lifetime, right? I can hear without judging. I love, love, love creating safety for my clients, friends, and family. And I really believe that real, true presence matters deeply. And there will be sessions, in full fairness to this one, where that is all we need to do, or that is all someone requires at the kitchen table. Okay, just for us to be calm, steady, safe space, all the things, for someone to tell the truth, right? That is the foundation because we also know it builds trust. However, presence alone isn't enough to offer a path for our clients. Heart opening questions that can motivate or reveal deep down desires and goals can help our clients, friends, and family, right? Can help them turn into the superheroes of their own story. If we're sitting with someone, and this happens week after week, and we're watching them circle the same patterns, we're waiting for them to come to it on their own. We're more like a babysitter for them in their own comfort zone. And this is hard, especially for the therapist in me. But as a life coach, we know that compassion without direction is not growth. Our role is to create the container, but also offer the tools and the question for your client's clarity. So, coaching allows us to help someone get clear on where they're headed, where they want to be headed, and hold them accountable in moving toward it. This can include setting goals. Okay, not like forceful checklists. Okay, I'm not looking for drill sergeant type coaching here. I know they're out there. It's not what I'm talking about. Okay. And it's definitely not our idea of success. This is like a co-creation. They're giving you a vision, or you're working on their passions, and now we're creating forward movement. And we're going to need that direction so that our session is more than this conversation. It's a conversation with a forward movement. It's growth, it's evolution. And so this is the reminder that the people we work with need more than just space holding. I think what most of my clients need is someone working with them that sees what they are capable of. Because so many people don't have that in their lives. They don't have anyone willing to invite them into being this next best version of themselves that see their potential. And we have the ability to do that with a coach's mindset, again, whether this is your profession or not, to allow someone to see their capacity even when it's uncomfortable. That's like the coaching leadership we're talking about. You're asking questions that maybe nobody else has in their life. And we can still hold still when they break down. But when the time is right, it's asking, what do we build from here? And a lot of people want to vent. And maybe you both talk about how many sessions we're going to do that for. That's a shared conversation. But a coach who's afraid to interrupt the cycle might be stuck in the myth because they don't want to push. Again, different from a therapist. Therapists can hang there for a while. But a coach might get stuck here where they're protecting themselves from the discomfort of challenging someone who might push back. I call bullshit all the time, excuse my French, on my clients, especially if they've given me permission to. I'm like, hey, is it okay if I call bullshit here? And they're like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, only if you want. I'll challenge you if you want. And so you want to get to know the people in your life and ask permission. I would never do something like that without asking permission. So it's okay to say, hey, how would you me to coach you? Is it okay if I call BS? Yes, hold the space. Don't stop there. Maybe create a target, offer some direction, goals, worksheets, all the things. We're going to add it all together because it's never just one thing. And of course, bring the energy and bring your authenticity and who you are. So we're going to see potential and lovingly call our clients into it. And we're going to challenge them to live into their why. Last analogy, think of it like a trampoline. It's a space that for them, it's soft enough to land, but strong enough to bounce a little bit higher from your session. Okay, we're already at number 5. Yay. Once I'm confident as a coach, I'll feel ready to go all in. This is a myth of like the gold medal or certainty right before the commitment. And this is not to be confused with myth 1, where we felt like we had to have our own life together to be a great coach. This is, I have to take 20 years of life coach training to be confident enough to be a great coach. Do we understand the difference? Okay. Yeah. Once I'm confident, then I'll feel ready to go all in. This is the myth that keeps people hovering, that I see half in, half out. And they're waiting for this feeling. And we'll call it confidence. That's going to give them permission to move. Here's the deal though. Confidence doesn't come before the action. It comes from the action. Confidence doesn't come before the action, it comes from it. None of us are going to build the certainty we're looking for by sitting on the sidelines or thinking it through one more time. Any overthinkers here? Yes. Yeah, we're going to build it by stepping in. We can be shaky. I'm shaky sometimes, but realizing we can handle what happens next. So it's like waiting to work out until you start sweating. Sweating's not going to happen until you work out. Confidence isn't a prerequisite, right? It's not going to come until you're doing it enough. And the people who succeed in coaching are the ones who commit no matter what to the business, the hard conversations, the relationships, right? They're not starting off confident. They're not trying to feel safe. They're scared. It's normal, but they're starting. And they know the first steps are awkward. And they know the first and early sessions are going to feel a little chaotic, a little messy. It's okay. Because it's the being in the motion where we start to really form who we are as a coach. Waiting to feel ready, that's how we lose momentum. So we want to do it anyway, move our way into it. And confidence builds when we do the thing, we realize it didn't kill us, and then we do it again. And I think this is such, if not the most important thing that I wanted to share tonight, which is purpose is like the antidote to self-doubt, right? Because you're doing this because you feel purposeful. You feel you're meant to be here. Again, whether it's to coach a family member, to coach a friend, to coach. And if you don't allow the insecurity to get in the way of purpose, you really will be able to find that coaching hat for yourself. I just attended a summer camp reunion and it was so unbelievable. And my sister and I were talking about what made this place, this camp so freaking special, this experience, right, as a kid. And we realized it was about how we had these endless opportunities to fail at things. As campers, we could spend 2 to 3 summers falling on water skis until one magical try, we suddenly get up and stay up, and now we're skiing behind a motorboat. We learned that we can learn things. We learned that we can learn things even if it took time. That with enough practice, we develop skill at things. Whether it was sports or learning camp cheers or making bracelets or pot holders. I was going to show you an example and I left it in the kitchen. It's not pretty, but I learned. So in coaching, I describe confidence as the belief in our ability to do something we've already done, which is not the same as self-confidence, which is the belief in our ability to do something we've never done. Because we believe that with time, we can learn something new. We try things, we mess up, we embrace the messing up, and then we try again and get better and better. I tell a story in my coaching class about a man in a pothole. On a Monday, he was on his way to work. Takes the same route he always takes, same coffee, all the things, same cracked sidewalk that he walked every morning. But one day, out of nowhere, he steps into this deep pothole. He didn't see it. He didn't know it was coming. It wasn't there before. And the whole world turned upside down. Before he could think, he was at the bottom. And he was pissed. He was cursing the construction crew who put it there. And it took everything he had to climb out. It was an hour by the time he got out. The next day, he walked the same route. He fell in again. And he freaking couldn't believe this pothole was still there, that no one else had fixed this thing. And once again, he's cursing the people who must have been responsible. Felt just as deep as the day before. But after 30 minutes, he got out. A little faster this time. Wednesday, same street, same hole. This time he noticed the pothole just a little too late. He fell in again. But now he was watching himself do it in real time. He knew this hole. He knew the edges, the landing, the thoughts that always showed up in the fall. But this time, he didn't point any fingers. He owned it. He climbed out with a little bit more clarity, a little less shame. He was out in 15 minutes. Thursday, he saw the pothole from a distance and he walked around it. No drama this time. And Friday, he took a different street. Every moment, effort is another step towards recognizing our own potholes, to learn from them, to finally understand the part of us that keeps falling in, and eventually transform. A little more awareness, a little bit more compassion for ourselves, and a little bit more freedom each time. I have a quote, a book title, The Master Pivots Faster. Everyone's fallen in. But the people who've been doing this, who understand that failure is part of the process, they just pivot quicker and they get out sooner. I promise that everybody falls in. And one day you simply walk a new way till the next pothole shows up. People don't step into coaching because they've mastered it all. They step in because they've seen what it is like to feel lost. And they care enough to guide someone else out of it. It's a calling. So maybe you're that person that's holding space for people on the living room floor or in the hospital rooms or the late night phone calls. Maybe just when someone needs to be heard and you feel like you want to help, but you just don't feel ready. And so you're in that trap, like others, where you just wait. And you tell yourself you're going to jump in when you feel more confident, more trained, more together. And then you just lose the momentum or the impact. So we're going to remind you, if nothing else tonight, that you can do this. That confidence doesn't come before the work. It's through the work. And the best coaches I've ever met did not have the polished stories or one-liners, okay? There was no perfect credentials. They just had the willingness. Willingness, maybe the authenticity too. Right? They told the truth, they held the hard moments, all the things. And maybe they just asked the questions in a different way than their clients had before to themselves. These are the kind of coaches we train. And so if something in you has been a little stirred today, if you're ready to go a little deeper, lead maybe with a little more clarity in your conversations at home or with friends, sharpen your skills a little, we want to work with you. We have our advanced life coaching certification coming up, and it's going to help you to see yourself in a way that you may have only imagined. So just take a moment and close your eyes and imagine yourself by the end of this year able to speak with confidence, ask questions that shift people's lives, and know exactly how to guide someone else towards clarity or towards their own growth and evolution. Maybe you're not here to become a coach. Maybe you're just ready to become someone people turn to. Someone who listens better, asks better questions, leads stronger, lives with more clarity for yourself. One of our students stopped me in our tracks when they said, I thought I needed to become someone else to be good at this. And it turns out I just needed to become more of me. I still get a little choked up. You just have to be more of you. So if that hits something inside of you, then you already know you're closer than you think. The next step isn't about adding more. It's just about removing all of these myths and the noise so your presence can do the work. So if you feel like this is your next step, I invite you to take it with us. We are starting very soon and our spots are limited. So this course, okay, is going to help you roll up your sleeves. You're going to feel like you're having a transformational experience. And don't worry, we can work with anyone's schedule. So if you can't make the lives, you'll watch the playbacks and we'll schedule some practice runs with your group when you can with a schedule that works for you. Okay. If I can run 3 businesses, be a full-time mom, and run this course, you can definitely sneak in the listening and the practice hours, I promise. Okay. We're gonna shift how you show up in every room, every conversation, every version of your future. So the Evolve Masterclass Advanced Coaching Certification, you can sign up at evolvemasterclass.com, starts next month, September 9th. You'll learn how to lead, how to coach, how to walk in any room knowing you can help someone move forward. Also, when you register, you get full access to the membership that we offer for until December 31st. That includes the famous Evolve Vault with bonus videos. We've got anxiety tool sheets and supplement hacks and so much more. So the door is open, my friends. And listen, we've never needed human connection more. This is a place where you're going to have so many amazing connections if you want them. You were built for this. Step in. Let's evolve together. I'll see you there. All right, but I am going to pause now if anybody has any questions about life coaching, coaching family members, the life coaching course. This is your chance to ask. And you can text in the chat too if that's easier. Okay, we got private. So this person, what if I still feel like I'm not ready to coach others? So if you don't feel ready, it actually means you're taking it seriously. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but again, confidence doesn't show up before the leap. It's building because you leap. So even the fact that you're considering it, we say, start where you are. It's not about being this guru. It's just about showing up, stay open. Coaching is very much like a buffet. We're gonna share a bunch of stuff with you. You're gonna see what fits, and maybe the year after you learn different stuff, and then the year after, and so forth. What I really want to teach you mostly is how to pull out your inner coach, the natural stuff, the stuff that doesn't need to be taught, and allow you to access that intuition. So that's going to be a really fun part of our coaching course. Great question. Yeah. Any other questions? That same person. I'm not sure I want to be a coach. Is this still valuable for me? Absolutely. So I think coaching skills are human skills, right? If you're a parent, a friend, a leader, a partner, all the things. This work sharpens how we listen, how we ask questions, how we lead, how we show up. So I don't think that you need to have paying clients to be a phenomenal coach. You just have to be someone people trust. And that's exactly what who we help you become. Yeah, I love that. Any other questions? If you think of them, by all means, send them to evolvemasterclass@gmail.com and we will be happy to put them in this course. Remember, you have access to this in the course site. if you don't let us know, but most of you signed up, we will sneak in some tools and I can always add question and answers if anything else comes in. But look out for some stuff. I usually do add some special stuff. All right, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. We'll see you at Evolve Masterclass potentially next month. And it was so great talking with you all tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a beautiful evening. Namaste. Bye.